Now then, before we proceed any further, I'm going to announce the results of the test we had performed earlier. Tests? Yes, tests on the bloody dagger that was found and it's stuck in the pine tree. Oh, yeah, that. Totally forgot about that. That's the weapon that Maya Fey used when she fought with the killer. So what are the results? Was the victim's blood or... Due to the time constraints, a full test wasn't possible. However, there's only one thing we can say with certainty. It's Fey blood. I swear to God. The blood that was on this dagger was not the victim's blood. What? That is all. Now then, let's restart this trial. So it wasn't Misty's blood on the dagger. And whose was it? Maya's. Probably. I'm sure both the defense and the prosecution know this, but this trial is rapidly coming to a close. Both sides will need to show some firm evidence with their claims. I understand, Your Honor. From what I've heard, the witness is dangerously weak, physically speaking. So let's finish this quickly. Maya, please, just tell me the truth. I'm on your side. I agree. Very well, please bring in the last witness. Witness, please tell us your name and profession. Maya Fey, my profession is, I'm the assistant manager at the Wright & Co. law offices. Maya. According to the magazine I have here, you're a spirit medium of the Korean channeling technique. I'm frightened. The Fey clan, I don't want any more to do with it. Oh my, the pain the Fey bloodline causes must be unbearable. Very well. Now then, Miss Fey, when the event occurred, you were in the garden of the Inner Temple, and you witnessed the moment of Miss Elise's murder. Is this correct? Oh my, I didn't see any... Straighten up this moment, young lady. Huh? Pick your head up and speak clearly. There's always time for crying later. But your mother was killed right in front of your eyes. There's nothing you can do to change that fact. But there's something you can do. You can finish this. You've been watching the whole time, right? The whole thing. You've seen the witness come out, and you've seen us squeeze the truth out of him. Now it's your turn. Let's hear your testimony. On the night of the crime, what exactly did you see happen? Witness, if you please. Yes, Your Honor. I was passing through the garden on the way to a spare prep room where it happened. Suddenly, someone struck me over the head. I stumbled and ended up against the stone lantern. I think I screamed, "Help me!" Then something warm splashed over me. That's when I lost consciousness. So you were struck on the head. I suppose it must have been the staff. It's just such a weird setup. Maya, the person who hit you. It was Dahlia Hawthorne, wasn't it? I'm sorry, Nick. I just couldn't see. I don't know who it was. Maya, think hard. I'm sorry, Nick, but I really couldn't. Can't say it was especially a good night for young ladies to be walking around alone. It seems that it will be hard to determine the criminal through testimony alone. Very well then, Mr. Wright, please begin your cross-examination. Gladly. Maya, hang in there. She doesn't look well at all. Let's just immediately press everything. Who else was on the inner temple side that night? So, well, Sister Bikini, of course. But I remember her saying that Iris would be coming later as well. On the day after the incident, Edgeworth met Bikini at Hazakura Temple. That means she couldn't be the criminal. So then, did Iris actually come later than like she said? Let me think. She seems confused. It's probably because she's so tired. No, I'm sure I didn't see her. She must have come while I was preparing for the training. Who did it? Who hit you? Well, I didn't see who it was. I was hit from behind. You didn't see the person. But after that, your attacker was in front of you. How could you have not seen who it was? Well, let me think for a second. I'm sorry, I just can't remember. Maya is really having a hard time, which I do. I don't want to press her harder because, you know, she's weak and all that, but at the same time, if I don't do anything, nothing's gonna happen. Come on, Maya, this isn't making sense. Why didn't you see this person? Well, let me think. It was, oh yeah, that's right. It was dark, that's it. It was dark? It's not good to have too much light around when someone is undergoing spiritual training. I don't think it. There was a earlier testimony to the effect of that. So it was dark in the garden on the night of the crime. Which is why she didn't see her attacker. Yeah, no. I thought maybe she was trying to hide something, but I guess not. How do you forget that it's dark? Whatever. Judging by the testimony thus far, the identity of the attacker was most likely the spirit that was channeled by Elise, Dahlia Hawthorne. Very well, please continue with your testimony. What happened after you were struck on the head? What happened afterwards? My attacker was in front of me, blocking off my escape, I think. You think? After getting hit like that, I was in a state of panic. There were only two things rolling around in my mind at the time. Well, now this is beginning to get interesting. So, what were the two things rolling around in your mind? What to eat? My name's Maya Fey. 1 + 1 = 2. Really? You see, for some crazy reason, I was afraid I was gonna lose my memory. So I had to think about 1 + 1. I know it's odd considering my life was in danger, but that's how it was. That's not all at all. Your actions are understandable given the circumstances. So, what did you do then? Help me. You think you're screened, but you're not sure. Oh, listen, I was a complete wreck. It was dark and I couldn't see my attacker. Was it a man, a woman, an adult, a child? I had no idea. I was scared out of my wits. Believe me, my dear, I'm certain I would have soiled my robes. I thought this person might attack me, so I... Anyway, I'm pretty sure I screamed. I thought it was my last hope. Oh, it sounds like a poor little Maya really was out of her mind. I wonder what she meant by last hope. What do I do? Press her for more details. Who gives a fuck about what she screamed? What's your last hope? Wait a minute, Maya. What's this my last hope stuff? What do you mean by your last hope? No. That's what you said. You said my last hope. Huh, what? I said what? Maya, I swear to God I am going to hit you. Look, you were facing an attacker that you couldn't see and you screamed, right? You screamed, help me. No, yeah. But you testified that you screamed that because you thought it was your last hope. Oh, well, you know, that's like, what do you call it when that happens? Maya's not doing so well up there. Oh, yeah, Oh, that's right. I remember now. I was facing my attacker, but that's not who I was screaming at. Well, yeah, clearly you're not gonna yell at your attacker to help you. What'd you just say? Yeah, that's right. It was the person behind my attacker that I was yelling at. That's who I was screaming at for help. Ah! What is it now? I messed up. I didn't mean to let that slip out. Huh? Witness, are you absolutely sure of what you're saying? Behind the attacker, there was another person. Well, I meant to keep that part a secret. What have I done? Huh. Takes a ton of pressure to make a diamond. That's what I always say. A ton of pressure. You're in a court of law here. You can't make things up or try to hide things in this chamber. Witness, the information you just presented is vital to this case. I want you to add it to your testimony. But it was out. It was not on. So there's a man standing behind your attacker. Allegedly it wasn't on. I'm sure it was on. Yes? That man, he's the killer. He stabbed her from behind. He's the one who killed Elise. Otherwise known as Misty Faye, your mother. The killer? Maya, you know who killed your mother, don't you? What is the meaning of this, Mr. Wright? To be frank, Your Honor, I think she's in shock and quite confused. That's why she hasn't noticed the huge problem with her testimony. Huh? What do you mean? What problem? Maya, on the night of the crime, the stone lantern was out of commission. What? It's true. There was no light anywhere in the garden that night. No. Order in the court, Mr. Godot, explain this. Add the pureness of the milk to the perfect, clear darkness of coffee. Stir. As the state of the witness's mind right now. A cup of cafe a lot. Cafe au lait? Is that even legal? Mr. Trite's words are the milk and you're the spoon, Your Honor. Oh, I'm a spoon. I'm no spoony board. I'm no spoony board, I'll have you know. You must have noticed that too, Trite. The witness's mental state is unusually unstable right now. It's not hard to understand why she would make a little mistake like that. Sorry, but that's not going to cut it. What did you say? If there truly was no light in the garden, there's a fatal contradiction in the witness's last bit of testimony. She said she saw someone. Nick. May I? I recall the witness's statement about her attacker. She said that she didn't know if it was a man or woman or an adult or child. And yet, the witness could describe a person that was standing behind her attacker. and she was quite clearly certain him as a man. In other words, that would have mean that Maya actually saw our mystery person, despite it being so dark that she couldn't see the face of the attacker in front of her. No. That means she knows who it is. That means he's very easy to identify of who he is, with or without light. What in the world does this all mean, Mr. Wright? Are you saying Miss Faye saw the real killer under pitch black conditions? Troy, do you have any idea what you're proposing? How could she have seen in the dark? There was no other light source at the scene. There are some things that can only see that you can only see in the dark, Godot. Maya, you did see who the killer was in the dark. And now, you're trying to cover for him. Cover? For the man that killed her mother? There's only one conclusion I can draw from this. You know who this man is. Please, Nick. I don't know anything. Please, I'm begging you. Huh. You talk a good game, Trite, but let's see if you can walk the walk. It was pitch black, so what could the witness see? I'm calling your bluff. No, Nick, don't. Please, stop. Maya's dead set on protecting this guy. The man who murdered Maya's long-lost mother. But I can't let him get away with it. I'm a lawyer, an officer of the court. I'm here to find the truth. Sorry, Maya. Alright, Mr. Wright, time to show us what you've got. It was this person that you say Miss Maya saw in the darkness. It's the literal only person that it could have been. Because it was pitch black, Miss Faye was able to recognize the killer easily. I'm sure the court would like to see for itself how this is possible, yes? What? But how do you propose to show us something like that? It's easy. Can you turn off the lights in here? We just need to recreate the conditions of the night. Conditions? Your Honor, the defense officially requests that all the lights in this courtroom be turned off. Thank you. There's his little glow. What? This is... but it can't be. Huh. Hey, buddy. That was a nice bit of deduction. Trite. Well, everyone, this is the man Maya saw on the night of the murder. Order! Prosecutor Godot, what is the meaning of this? Surely you must be shocked to hear yourself accused of such a thing. Why aren't you denying it? Huh. Your Honor, you're asking the wrong person. What do you mean by that? If you've got a question, ask the witness. That's one of my rules. Well, Maya, how about it? What you saw that night was it 3 glowing red lights? Well, witness, to answer the question. You're wrong. What did you say then? I never saw that. Maya? I thought the person that stabbed my mother was a man. For a totally different reason. What? When he had his dick out or something? I mean, come on, Maya. Mr. Wright, stop your chattering, Your Honor. I'm chattering? If it's worth asking, ask the witness. That's one of my rules. Alright. Witness, let's continue with this testimony. Please tell us how you knew the killer was a man. Yes, Your Honor. I didn't realize it until after I woke up, but... It's ridiculous. Come on, Maya. Why do you want to defend him so much? Other than, you know, killing your almost killer. When I came to, I was just lying there on the training hall floor. By the time I got back to the garden, the place had totally changed. The torches were lit and the body was gone. And all of the snow around the snow lantern had been carefully cleaned up too. Since the person did all that work alone, I just assumed it was a man. So it was after the crime took place that the witness came to think the killer was a man. Yes, that's right. I'm sorry, Your Honor, No need to apologize. It's as Mr. Godot said, you're utterly exhausted. It's only natural that you would be a little confused. Also, if you considered the situation you described, it doesn't seem too much of a stretch to assume the criminal was a man. Mr. Wright, proceed with your cross-examination. I was just lying there. Pointless. By the time I got back to the garden, the place still would have changed. Though I could have... Naturally, the killer must have done it, right? Yes, I think so. But why would the killer tamper with the crime scene like that? Why would he make it more convenient for you, other than leaving your name there? Which, obviously, is Godot. And there must have been something that the killer desperately wanted to hide. I don't know. Looks like she doesn't have enough confidence. I think I need to gather some information before asking her again. Oh. Okay, let's press on this then. The torches were lit? Yes, that's how I noticed that the whole scene had changed. I'm going to say it was the killer who lit the torches. I mean, who else could it be? The killer probably lit them since it would be impossible to do any cover-up work in the dark. However, if that's true, there's one thing that still bothers me. Why'd the killer go to the effort of moving the body? That's true, it's hard to see how that would be of any advantage to the killer. There's only one who would... The only one who would gain anything from that would be... the only person that was at the Inner Temple, Maya. Very well, let me hear some more about the condition of the crime scene. So he's saying the killer cleaned up the snow. It did look really odd. The snow was removed in an unnatural looking rectangle shape around the lantern. There are a lot of shovels around the Inner Temple, but they're all really heavy, way too heavy for me to use. An odd fellow indeed, this killer. Why on earth would anyone want to take snow like that? Well, there's one thing I can think of. Didn't you say that a lot of the victim's blood sprayed onto the snow? Yeah. The area collapsed and ended up being splattered. In other words, the killer's purpose was to hide the bloody snow. I think that's the most reasonable explanation. Perhaps. However, there's something that's bothering me. If the killer just wanted to hide the snow with blood on it, there was no need to remove that amount. That's true. He could have just scooped up just that snow that was stained with blood. It's like he was just being careful and not wanting to leave anything behind, and yet he still did. Looks like there's some mysteries behind the issue. If I think this will help explain them. Now, let's go back to number 2. Naturally, the killer must have done it, right? Yeah, I think so. But why would the killer tamper with the crime scene like that? There must have been something that the killer desperately wanted to hide. The truth is, when I saw the crime scene, I felt something. You did? Yes, I felt like the killer was hiding the evidence for me. For my sake. What? Hiding it for you? Everyone knew that I was the only one at the Inner Temple that night. If Sister Bikini had come back and looked at the garden, she may have thought that you had done it. No, she definitely would have thought so. And you're saying that's why the killer cleaned up the crime scene to make it look like nothing had happened? Yes, I'm sure of it. Well, that's certainly an important piece of information. I want you to add that to your testimony. Yes, Your Honor. But he didn't. He didn't. Entirely, at least. There's your name on it. That's the most damning piece of evidence. Out of all of the stuff he could have taken and removed, that's the most damning piece. The body of Elise was carried all the way to the Hazakura Temple courtyard. Then at the garden, the real scene of the crime. The snow that we suspected was covered in blood was scooped up and removed. It's reasonable to believe that all this was done in an attempt to hide the true crime scene. However, there's still one matter that still seems somewhat odd. Oh, what would that be? You must have figured it out by now, Mr. Godot. It's the message written in blood on the lantern. It was written very clearly on the white stone lantern. Maya. If the killer was so motivated to protect Maya from suspicion, then why didn't he wipe the writing off the lantern? You're right. Or just smear it, something. Because it's painfully obvious. Order! But Mr. Wright, you'd have to be practically blind to miss it. Mr. Wright? Isn't it a fact that the killer was trying to cover up the crime scene? Indeed. But it doesn't make sense to move the body and remove the bloody snow. Do not wipe off the most incriminating thing of all, the bloody writing. But if that's the case, do you have an explanation for the killer's mysterious behavior? Why would this killer move the body and remove all that snow, but then leave the bloody writing on the lantern? They didn't see it. That's why. I don't know what the killer's plan was, but it's a fact that the killer left the writing on the stone lantern. There must be a reason for it. Well then, Mr. Wright, let's hear your opinion. Why'd the killer leave the message written in blood on the lantern? The killer didn't see it. Prosecutor Godot, earlier in this trial, you gave me some good advice. Once you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth. Maybe you're not as dumb as I thought. The real killer wanted to disguise the fact that a crime occurred there. If that's the case, they wouldn't have left the bloody writing on the stone lantern on purpose. Therefore, it must mean that they didn't notice it. But that doesn't make any sense. The torches were all lit and everything. There's no way any normal person would miss something as glaring as that. You're right. There is no way any normal person would. What are you saying, Mr. Wright? There's only one person involved in this incident who could have missed something, seeing the bloody writing altogether. And who would that be? There's a person that could have failed. Mr. Godot! Knock, knock, buddy. This is what you said yesterday. My eyesight's pretty messed up. Even with these huge goggles on my head, I still can't see everything. You can't see red. You can't see everything. Is that correct, Mr. Godot? This lantern was submitted as evidence today. I would like the court to think back to the moment it was first presented. It's a lantern. There's something written on it. Why? It's written in blood. Nonsense. This lantern. It's as clean as a whistle. Yeah. Buddy. Mr. Godot, just admit it. There are certain colors you can't see. Correct? You can't see red on a white background, can you? That's right. We went through this once before, during the poisoning case at Tribulations. This apron that the delightful Miss Bird was wearing at the time, and somehow spilled coffee on it. There's something still bothering me, Mr. Godot. Why have you not explained the bloodstain to the court? Bloodstain? What bloodstain would that be? Don't play games, prosecutor. The blood-covered stain that's smeared all over the apron. It's ridiculous. No one told me anything about a bloodstain. Yeah, you can fucking see it. You can see the coffee on the white apron, but you couldn't see the ketchup because it was red. It's strange. In a black and white photo, those letters would have appeared black to me. I wonder, why am I the only one who can't see them? So then, Mr. Godot, are you admitting it? Are you admitting that you couldn't see the red writing on the lantern? He can't see him right now. Hey, Gramps, didn't you know? Shut the fuck up. That's the reason why I don't drink red tea. Because you wouldn't see if you're empty? I wasn't sure about it until now, but I just can't believe it. Prosecutor Godot is the murderer. But there's no going back now. I finally figured out the truth. Now it's time to just break him. Mr. Godot, the defense at this time formally accuses you. You are the murderer of Miss Elise, also known as Misty Faye. It's hard to believe this may be true, but once again, Mr. Wright has brought up a disquieting fact about you. Just make sure you don't fill out the indictment in red ink, Gramps. Come on, how does a little graffiti make me into the killer? Besides, it's not like it's my name that's written there. Yeah, I'm certain that the killer wasn't able to see the color red. This is rich. Do go on, Trite. The answer is right there at the crime scene. In the snow. The snow? How so? Well, for example, why did the killer move all the snow? Your Honor, you said it yourself. If they wanted to hide the bloody snow, why not take out just that area? Yes, they didn't. Yeah, why didn't they? They just take that area. Oh, could it be? They just took out an area that they think that it could have been. The killer couldn't see the red blood that had seeped into the snow, and so he had to remove all of the snow. He couldn't be sure of where the blood had landed, so he removed the whole area. Isn't it more likely that the killer couldn't see the blood because it was dark? They lit the lantern, the side torches. Not a chance. The torches were all lit. They would have been able to see fine. It seems that once again this trial has taken an unexpected turn, to say the least. Can you explain this, Mr. Godot? Buddy. Wait, just wait a minute. Maya. What is it, witness? Mr. Godot isn't the killer. After all, he didn't even come to the inner temple. Until 2 days after the murder took place. He didn't show up until after that old bridge got fixed up. Objection. Maya? You can't testify to something like that. Why? What do you mean? I may not look it, but yeah. After the murder happened, you didn't even exist. She didn't. I'm afraid I don't follow. Are you senile, old man? We established this just a little while ago. After the murder, this witness was unconscious for a long time. Yeah, because she was channeling Dahlia Hawthorne. Oh, that's right. Please, Your Honor, let me add to my testimony. Nick, please listen to me. I'm not going to. You plan to cover for Godot no matter what the cost. If that's the case, then I've got no choice. Your Honor, let's hear a testimony. If it means we're going to hear the whole truth, I say we should not silence her. Nicely done, Trite. Very well, let's hear the witness's testimony. Please tell us what happened at the inner temple after the murder. Yes, sir. After I woke up, I began channeling and my spirit left me, as it were. But that little girl was there at the inner temple, too. Pearl? Pearlie was also stuck on the inner temple side that night. The next morning, she looked around but couldn't find anyone. The next day, when the bridge was finally fixed, she was in the spare prep room. That's when Mr. Godot arrived at the inner temple for the first time. He found Pearlie first and cheered her right up. Is this Pearlie? Who is this Pearlie? Oh, that's my little cousin, Pearl Faye. When did you hear about this? Oh, just a while ago, when I was off in the medical office. I'm terribly sorry. But what you heard from someone else is simply not admissible as testimony. What? Come on. Pearlie would never tell a lie. She has to testify in court. She's a way more honest person than I'll ever be. Real smart, Maya. You always know the best things to say when you're under oath. The prosecution has no objection. We believe the witness. I don't. Mr. Godot. Let's just move on to the cross-examination, if the defense has no objections. This is highly unusual, but, well, Mr. Wright, no. Let's get this cross-examination started. Okay. Uncontested. Next morning she looked around, couldn't find anyone. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything. Next day when the bridge was finally fixed, she was in the spare prep room. That's nice. I doubt that. So it's your first time on the Inner Temple side, Mr. Godot? That's funny. Am I imagining things, or did the defense ask me a question? Mr. Wright, please save your questions for the witness. What you heard from someone else is simply not admissible as testimony. Those are your words, Your Honor. Touche, Mr. Wright. Oh well. What do you have to say, Mr. Godot? Hot nights and even hotter coffee. That's what I always say. If it hadn't been for this case, I never would have visited there. Freezing cold temple in the mountains. I think I'll pass. So you never visited Hasakura Temple or the Inner Temple, huh? You want to say something, Trite? In any case, I have to find a crack in Godot's armor. While I cross-examine Maya, that is. Okay, so I'll come back to that. Let's put a pin on that. Very well, please go on with your testimony. After fixing the bridge, the policeman came over to the Inner Temple side, right? Yes, then Mr. Godot. What do you mean cheered her up? You cheered her up? That's what Pearlie said. She said he was a very nice older gentleman. Thank you for looking after my cousin, Mr. Godot. The only reason he'd cheer her up is because he would have known that she threw a bunch of gravy on said poster, and she was probably crying over it and being like, oh my god, I didn't mean to do that, I'm a failure or whatever. He cheered her up after that. And here I was thinking you were nothing more than coffee addict. Huh. Cut it out. You're making me blush. This guy's really beginning to get on my nerves, in more ways than one. The truth is, there aren't many places to look on the Inner Temple side. The policemen were all busy going over the garden with fine-toothed combs, so I decided to carry out an investigation my own way. Godot style. I'm the same way. I like to hand down verdicts in my own way, judge style. Maybe I should ask some questions, Phoenix style. Tell me about your investigation. You said that you conducted an investigation of your own. Did you find anything? Looks like my investigation went about as well as yours, Trite. After all, I did miss the bloody writing on the lantern. Well, I didn't miss it, so speak for yourself, Goggles. The only odd thing I discovered was the beauty in the training hall. Beauty? Misty Faye, naturally. Glad in her stunning Japanese garb, surrounded by the hue and aroma of Western taste. I don't know about you, buddy, but I guess Western taste can mean something else. But that's just me. Western taste. Could he find a stranger way to describe gravy? So from there, you headed for the prep room? Wait a sec. What did Godot just say now? I think I just found his proverbial weak spot. There's only one thing of any importance here. Where was Godot when the murder was taking place? He must have already been at the Inner Temple when it happened. Otherwise, he couldn't have killed Elise. Let me go to the fourth one. Is it? Yeah. That's good. Yeah, buddy. Are you sure about that? I mean, I'm just saying, Western gravy. I mean, if you really want to call it that. Mr. Godot, the first time he crossed Dusky Bridge and went into the Inner Temple. Because it's, I wouldn't call this beautiful. I really wouldn't. I'd call it a lot of things. Not beautiful. That is alright. That, you're gonna have to bring up the fact it's covered in gravy. First time he crossed Dusky Bridge and went into the inner temple was long before the murder took place. Why do you say that? Because he just made one fatal slip-up. The hanging scroll in the training hall. Hanging scroll? But Mr. Godot's right. That scroll shows a picture of my mother. It did. Maya, I know you know what it is, but here's something you didn't know. By the time the bridge had been repaired 2 days after the murder, the hanging scroll in the training hall looked like this. What's that wonderfully delicious smell? The morning after the crime, someone covered him with gravy. Gravy? But why gravy, Nick? Because gravy was much more than a condiment to the culprit. Mr. Godot? If you really hadn't seen the hanging scroll until after the murder, you wouldn't have had any way of knowing that it was Misty Faye. Wait a minute, Nick. Yes? Take another look at the hanging scroll. Look, at the top. There's a crest there he would have had no way of knowing. Oh, it's the mark of the master, correct? Exactly. So if you know the meaning of the mark, then you could guess that the picture of Misty Faye on there. True, but Mr. Godot described what was underneath like this. Clad in her stunning Japanese garb surrounded by the hue and aroma of Western taste. Oh. Yes, it's possible that he knew that what the crest meant, however, he wouldn't have known what she was wearing. He couldn't have known that she was wearing Japanese clothing. Mr. Godot on the day, well, you could actually probably assume because the hanging scroll, so you could assume that it's not going to be like casual clothing, so it's either going to be like meditation clothing or Japanese clothing, and Japanese kind of covers all of that. Mr. Godot, on the day of the murder, you were hiding at the inner temple long before the crime took place. But yeah, same point. Can I ask you just one little thing, Trite? What is it? This whole theory of yours, it all rests on a certain assumption. That I knew beforehand that a crime was going to be committed. That's right, you did. Otherwise, there's no reason for him to sneak into the crime scene. Of course Mr. Godot knew about the plan. Huh? What did you say? Is it already possible that another person knew of the plan? Yeah. Burnt letter. This crime was actually planned over a year ago. He just had to have heard it within a year. Morgan Fay authored the plan for her daughter's future, and these instructions were hidden somewhere in Fay Manor for a year. However, by the time little Pearls found these instructions, they'd already been unsealed. Unsealed? Yep. The killer had read these instructions long before Pearls ever found them. Oh, that's right, she did say that it was unsealed. Open once before. Oh, buddy. That's how he knew the crime was to take place at the inner temple. And the reason he was checking everything going in and out of Morgan's cell, Morgan and Dahlia's cell, is because he's so entwined with that case. Because that's the one that put him in a visor. It gave him white hair for some reason. She poisoned the shit out of him. He somehow lived. And he held a giant grudge after that. And you're saying this crafty killer is me? You bet I am. But you just said that the instructions were hidden. That's right. Mr. Godot couldn't have known where the instructions were hidden. If he really wanted to know, he had one great chance to find out. Yes, and when was that? During a visit. A visit? Morgan Fay told her daughter, Pearls, about where the instructions were hidden. During one of her visits to the detention center. That would be the only time for someone to have learned where they were hidden. Eavesdropping on a visit at a detention center. Yes, it could be arranged if you were someone with an easy access in and out of there. Like, for example, a prosecutor such as Mr. Godot. Order! Mr. Godot, you're under fire again. This murder could not have been carried out without prior knowledge. And you were the one that could have acquired this information before the murder. I'm on you, buddy. Humans are afraid of the dark, and yet, at the same time, we're fascinated and bewitched by it. Maybe that's why humans drink the darkness that is coffee. Sorry for always asking, but what does that mean? It means there's a reason for everything. According to your theory, the killer in this case is eavesdropped on a conversation during a jail visit where he learned of a hidden plan for a crime. After discovering the plans, he hid in the inner temple and waited for the crime to occur. Then he ultimately took a person's life. And he did all of that just to protect this witness? That's right. If you're accusing me of this crime, I have to ask you, why would I do this? This girl is nothing but a stranger to me. Are you sure about that? I've got no reason to go through that kind of trouble to protect her. I am what you see. I'm certainly not the type to rescue the damsel in distress. The killer's behavior is certainly extreme, for a lack of a better word. Even considering that the killer wanted to protect this witness's life, his behavior is still a little too unnatural. However, you had a good reason, didn't you, Mr. Godot? An unshakable reason that forced you to protect the witness at all costs. I knew it. You figured it out, haven't you, Nick? Yeah, and you're pissing me off, Maya. I guess you were doing your best to cover for Godot. For the same reason, huh? Okay, tried on all ears. Let's hear it. It's very simple. Maya Fey is a lot more than just a stranger to you. Watch this. There's one person who lies at the very center of this whole story. One person that ties you and Maya together inextricably. Give me, Mia. There's a very good reason why Maya Fey's life is so precious to you. After all, she is Mia Fey's only sister. Mia Fey? You once worked alongside her. That was when you were a defense attorney. Wait a second here. Just one fucking second. Mr. Godot's a defense attorney. With your Honor's piercing intellect, you must have figured it out by now. The real name of this man who calls himself Godot. His real name is Diego Armando. Isn't that right? Last time someone called me by that name was over 6 years ago. Diego Armando. That name rings a bell. It should, Your Honor. All of this is related to a single case. A case in which a convict named Terry Falls killed himself. Mia Fey's first time in court. The tragic outcome left a deep wound in her heart. She knew that behind it all was a heartless, scheming demoness in disguise. But in the end, Mia couldn't tear off that disguise. However, there was one man who reached out to help her. Diego Armando, a senior defense attorney, at the law office where Mia worked. It's my fault. It's all my fault that Mr. Falls killed himself. Mia, you can't cry yet. Only time a lawyer can cry is when it's all over. I was moved by her. The way she put all her faith in her clients, that pure sweetheart of hers. That's why I could never forgive Dahlia Hawthorne. Mia and I thoroughly investigated that fake kidnapping incident. In one fateful day, Dahlia wanted to meet with me. It had been 6 months since the trial. We met in the courthouse cafeteria. just remembered. 6 years ago, right here in this courthouse, you were poisoned. Yeah, even I didn't see it coming. I wouldn't drink anything near her, are you kidding? Dahlia slipped some poison into my coffee. I mean, the dude committed suicide when he said, like, oh, we'd kill each other together. She already has her hands on poison. I wouldn't have drank anything near her. I wouldn't have breathed near her. Some newspapers at the time called it a murder, but very little information about the case was released to the press. But you weren't dead at all. No official reports ever actually called it a murder. It was just in a deep, deep coma. I see. My body shut down and my life became nothing but a long, deep sleep. That woman's poison did a real number on my central nervous system. I lost my sight and all of my hair turned white due to the damage it caused. It's terrible. Apparently it was a miracle that I ever regained consciousness. 5 years that passed since I drank that poisoned brew. You still drink coffee today. Then one morning my eyes flew open from the smell of a doctor's cup of coffee. 5 years? You were asleep for 5 years. God, I should have brought the brew closer, and sooner. And the worst possible news was waiting for me. You know, shit. I'd be pissed. Mia Fey was dead. From the very moment I opened my eyes, I'd already lost everything I thought I had. The woman I loved had been murdered, and the woman I loathed had been sentenced to death. The woman you loathed? The woman who had spiked my scalding hot coffee, Dahlia Hawthorne. Good old Mia. She didn't let me down. She got her revenge before she checked out. In the end, there wasn't anyone waiting for me when I woke up. That's so sad. For someone like me, for someone who had slept away their best days, there's only 2 reasons left to live. And it was for those 2 reasons that I decided to become a prosecutor. If I may ask, what were your 2 reasons to live? The first was you, right? Not me. If I hadn't drank that stupid poison, Mia Fey never would have died, much less the way she did. You were the only one who was there to protect her, but you let her die. It was all your fault. It wasn't like that. I wanted to see for myself what kind of a man you really were. So that's why I became a prosecutor. My other reason for living, she goes by the name of Mia Fey. You mean me? You were the only one I could make up for the sin of not saving Mia. 1 year ago when the Korean village incident was resolved, it was obvious that Morgan Fey was planning something. Whatever her evil plan was, I was determined to stop it. My role as a prosecutor put me in a perfect position to do something about her. That's how you overheard Pearl's visit with Morgan at the detention center. I knew that the time was drawing near. Since I knew the plan, I thought I could foil it. My goal was to outwit the plan. I thought if I could do that, I could keep that girl from being caught up in it. That makes sense. If Pearls had known that the actual purpose of the plan was to kill Maya, she never would have helped out. Finally, the day of the plan was drawing near. I contacted both my accomplices. Accomplices? Iris and probably Bikini. Iris of the Hazakura Temple, and Misty Fey. Oh. I especially need the help of Iris. She used to take the fall in my backup plan in case we couldn't control Pearl. But how do you contact my mother? She'd been missing for almost 20 years. Officially, yes. What do you mean officially? You've heard about it, haven't you? About the strong ties between the main family and the government. Now that you mention it, Bikini did say something to that effect. She said that the Master of Korean had great authority. Even without her official position, Misty Fey still wielded great influence. The police have been keeping an eye on her movements all this time. That's how I was able to contact her. Again, because of my position as a prosecutor. So my mother was cooperating with you? Trying to keep you alive. Don't ever forget. No matter how far away from you she was, she never stopped thinking about you. She was always... That's why I knew she would do anything to protect you. If you want to know how strong her resolve to protect you was, look at her staff. Her staff? The one with the sword in it? The day where the plan was to be carried out arrived soon enough. We met for the first time in Hazakura Temple. That's when your mother showed me her special staff. I realized it then, just how far she was willing to go. She was ready to use that sword to protect you from Morgan Fay if necessary. Yes, even if it meant paying the ultimate price. Mother. That night, the night of the crime, there was just one way to stop Morgan's evil plan. You mean pearls, don't you? We had to make sure she didn't channel Dahlia Hawthorne. Pearl? What are you gonna do tonight? Well, if you'd like, you can come to my room. Perhaps we can read some books together. Yeah, she was just gonna have her stay there all night. We thought we could prevent her from playing her part in Morgan's plan, but she never showed up. She was worried and followed me to the inner temple. That was the one thing we were most afraid of, and that's why. Misty Fay had to do the channeling herself. She channeled Dahlia Hawthorne into her own body. What do you mean? And had Godot kill her. If she channeled the spirit first, then Pearls wouldn't be able to do it herself. As Master of Curry, and Misty Fay's power was supreme, so that's how it went down. She channeled Dahlia Hawthorne to that, so that Pearl wouldn't be able to. What? What? Is this true? My role in the plan was to make sure no one was going to hurt Maya Fay. That's why I hid myself in the inner temple, just in case you needed to be saved from Dahlia Hawthorne. Godot. Anyway, that's all I'm going to admit to, Trite. What? There's no doubt about it. You're a great defense lawyer, but you're going to have to do the rest yourself. The background leading up to this incident has been laid bare. There's just one question remaining, Mr. Wright. Who killed the victim? Godot. There are only two possible suspects right now. Maya Fay, and I'm sad to say, you, Mr. Godot. Well, Trite, if you're the real deal, finish this thing once and for all. It goes beyond a shadow of a doubt that you can finish this on your own. No, Nick, please don't. Maya, I heard the whole thing from my sister in the medical office. That's why I have to protect Mr. Godot. I can't do it. I can't testify against him. After all, he's the man who put his life on the line to protect Mia, and me too. Maya, I know that. Nick. But even so, it doesn't absolve him of his crime. Please, Maya, testify. Miss Fay, your testimony, please. This is the final testimony. Don't bother trying to hide anything, because I'll know. I want to hear the truth from your own lips. I understand. I'm sure you're right. I'm ready now, Nick. Alright, young lady, tell us about the moments before he lost consciousness. What exactly happened at the time of the murder? Time of the murder. Just before it happened, I think I saw some red lights, 3 of them. Godot's mask. I thought I'd just ask for help, but it's just within I was splattered with blood. She wasn't dead though, and she struck back at the enemy behind her. Suddenly the red lights went out and the whole area was dark. Why'd the red lights go out? It's just at that moment there was a horrible scream. Right after that, Dahlia collapsed and I lost consciousness. I want to press both of those points. Those red lights. I thought you said you don't remember seeing them. Well, I'm sorry, I lied. I thought I saw them, but then they disappeared all of a sudden. Things break, right? Even the best of theories. Who was it that stabbed Misty Fay? Looks like you still can't prove it. Maya's telling the truth this time, I know it. The rest is up to me. Well then, Mr. Wright, proceed with your final cross-examination of the witness. Just go ahead and skip to those last 2. Because those were definitely the important parts. Give me this. They went out. Yes, suddenly I couldn't see them at all. What could it mean? If the red lights were coming from Godot's mask and they went out right in the middle of a fight, maybe the mask was damaged. Or maybe it was knocked off. Or maybe the batteries ran out right. Or maybe these little red pinhead-looking lights just stopped working. What could have really happened then? He got hit in the face with the sword and it knocked his goggles off. Actually, this dagger is what did it. What do you mean just at that moment? Do you mean the moment when the red lights went out? That's right. The scream that you heard, was it Dahlia Hawthorne? I don't think so. Nope, it was Godot. I'm pretty sure it was a man's voice. What? So then, the scream came from the killer. That's gotta be it. I think Dahlia Hawthorne must have taken this blade and attacked the killer with it. And then the killer let out a scream of pain, huh? After that, the killer stole the blade back and delivered the final blow, I guess. No. Well, Mr. Wright, it seems to make sense to me. No, it doesn't. It sounds like a reasonable deduction, but I still kind of wonder. No, it was it was a little dagger. Sorry to say this, but that interpretation would create an enormous contradiction. That makes sense. After all, my deductions are certainly never correct. Remember the testimony she gave before the killer let out a scream. Maya said she'd already been splattered by the victim's blood. In other words, the blade in this staff had already been plunged into the victim. Isn't that right? She couldn't have struck back with the sword that was already stuck in her body. The weapon that caused the killer to let out a scream must have been something other than the staff. If you're so sure about that, then don't keep us waiting any longer, Trent. There's only one thing I can think of that could have been used as a weapon here. If Dahlia Hawthorne had already been stabbed in the back by the staff, what could have been used to strike back at the killer? This dagger. And it got a piece. It hit home. Naturally, the dagger the killer brought to the scene of the crime. Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. This dagger was found at the crime scene stuck into a pine tree. Yes, the detective found that this morning and brought it to me. Dahlia Hawthorne struck back at the killer with this, and she managed to wound him as well. Objection! Just because he let out a scream doesn't mean that he was wounded. For all I know, the blood on the dagger could have been the victim. We already know it isn't. It's been tested. Have you forgotten that the blood has already been tested? Since we learned it wasn't the victim's blood, it must be the killer's blood. The killer must have a wound somewhere on his body. It's under your visor. It knocked your visor off. So you're saying the blood on this dagger belongs to the killer? Exactly. A DNA analysis of the blood would prove it beyond a shadow of a doubt. Oh yes, yeah, and yes, Mr. Godot, it would prove that it's your blood. Nice theory, droid. Order in the court. Is this the end? Have I done it? Even he won't be able to change the result of a scientific test. Huh. Let me ask you something, droid. let's just say that it turned out that I was the killer. You really think I would be stupid enough to leave evidence like that? What? Just think for a second. The dagger was found the morning by a detective and brought to me. That was clearly there was clearly already a blood stain on it, correct? But even so, I was the one who brought this dagger here to the courtroom. Doesn't mean anything. Yes, and what does that prove? Well, if I really were the killer, I could have washed the blade off and then planted another person's blood on it. It can't be. In any case, there's one thing I can guarantee, right? That blood. It doesn't belong to me. Prove it. No chance. What? In any event, it seems to be established that the killer was wounded. Alright then, witness. Wait a minute. What's the problem? I know I probably shouldn't say this, but there's a big contradiction in Nick's explanation. Maya? This dagger. He said that it wounded the killer. That's right. But if Mr. Godot had really been cut with the dagger, his clothes would be bloody or have a rip in them, right? Maya? Maybe he just changed his clothes. That'd solve the contradiction pretty easily. What are you talking about? It's not that simple at all. Remember back to the day of the murder? Everyone that was on the inner temple side got trapped there. That's right. And once the bridge was fixed and the police headed for the inner temple, Mr. Godot was already there waiting for him. He never had a chance to change his clothes. Order in the court. Well, maybe he brought a change of clothes with him. But no one could have predicted that the lightning strike that shut down the bridge. Why would anyone have brought a change of clothes? The judge didn't take smart pills during the last recess. That would have always worked. Well then, maybe the killer took off the clothes before he committed the murder. That way he wouldn't get any blood on them. It's impossible to write. You know how cold it gets up there late at night. After a few minutes with no clothes on, you'd be frozen solid. So that's all you've got. I knew you weren't tough enough to finish this. Right now, if Mia Fey were here, she would have closed the book on this case already. If Mia Fey were here. Oh, come on, Fey. Can you do it or not? How about it, Mr. Wright? You've accused Mr. Godot of being the killer. But can you prove it? Have you been able to... Can you get even a piece of evidence? The question is whether I can prove it or not. The fact is, I have to prove it. There's only one choice I have. I was taught that it's one of the rules of being a lawyer. I can prove it. I'm going to bring your magnificent vengeance to fruition just as you want it. It's good, a fighter till the bitter end, right? Since there's just one piece of evidence that can prove your point, why don't we go for the ultimate penalty? You're trying to pressure me, Mr. Godot. Because it doesn't matter to me. I've got the one piece of evidence I need. Give me a break. You've got nothing trite. So what do I have to do at a time like that? So what do I do at a time like this? It's simple. I've got to think outside the box and approach this from a different angle. Alright then, Mr. Wright, let's hear what you've got. There's one thing I've demonstrated in that previous cross-examination. The killer was wounded, and that was proven by the blood on the dagger. But we decided it was impossible for him to have hidden such a wound. If he had been cut by a dagger, there should have been a bloodstain on his clothing. There's one place the killer could have hidden his wound. What did you say? Hidden. That is that mask right underneath there. It's at my last stand. I need to think about this from a different angle. I need to think about why there was no bloodstains on his clothing. I need to show how he hid the wound. It's the end of the line. Final stop, try. Let's hear what you've got. Where's the location? That's your fucking face. I don't know what you're talking about, and frankly, I don't even know. What I do know is that you'll never be half the lawyer she was. Isn't that right, Trite? Oh, hey, Mia. Or was that just Mia? It can't be. Living on through him. Even as we speak, you're still hiding the wound. Point. Yes. It's beneath your mask. During the fight, the red lights given off by the killer suddenly disappeared. That's why. His helmet was not. Seconds later, the killer let out a scream. That's right, your mask went flying off your face. Mr. Godot, would you mind removing your mask? If you have a dagger wound under there somewhere, then I'd say this whole case is solved. Ah. Just now, I saw a spirit in you. I never liked you. 6 years ago. You helped the woman who put me to sleep by hiding her poison bottle. And then, while I was sleeping, you let Mia die. Trust me, I definitely wouldn't want Mia to die. Trust me. But you didn't care. You just kept living your pathetic, happy-go-lucky life. You even had the nerve to follow in her footsteps as a lawyer. I could never forgive you. That's what I thought. Mr. Godot. But I was wrong about you. I knew it from the very beginning. The truth is, the only person I could never find it in my heart to forgive. Yourself? Was me. You yourself? I was the one that failed to protect Mia. Me and no one else. I tried to avert my eyes from the truth to escape from the harshness of reality. I just couldn't face Mia's death head on, so I ran. I hid behind a mask. I threw away my true name. I couldn't even deal with being a defense attorney anymore, so I quit. But you saved Maya. Yeah, that was my plan. Up until just now, anyway. What do you mean? Are you listening, Maya? If I'd really wanted to save you, then there's one person that I should have gone and talked to right away. Who would that have been? Are you talking about Nick? But I didn't do it. I tried to get the help of Iris and your mother. I closed my eyes to the most important man involved. You know why? The real reason. Pride? Why? I suppose I wasn't really interested in saving you at all. I think I was just trying to salvage what's left of my own broken soul. I was trying to make up for the fact that I couldn't save Mia. Nothing more. That's why I let you walk right into a situation that I knew was dangerous. Forgive me. You're wrong. You put your life on the line to save Maya. Was it really for Maya's sake? Even I'm not really sure. What do you mean by that? That night in the darkness of the garden, when I saw her silhouette, a part of me must have known the truth. The truth that it wasn't really Dahlia Hawthorne standing there in front of me. It could have been Misty Faye, or even that little girl, but I still picked up the blade. It was like I was dreaming. I'm not sure exactly what was going on in my mind at that point. Was I really motivated by the pure desire to protect Maya Faye? Or was it something else? Was it my hatred for a woman who had stolen everything from me 6 years earlier? Could have been simply a desire for revenge. And no, I don't even know anything anymore. I did learn something today, however. Finally realized I was the arrogant one. I was just chasing an illusion, a fantasy. A stupid fantasy of defeating you in the courtroom. You were the one who made me realize my folly. You never ran away from Mia's death. Instead, you picked up where she left off, as a true defender of the people. In that one moment, I understood everything. Mr. Godot. I think you already know this, but if you don't, my name is Diego Armando. Mr. Armando, I believe in you. I know you were there trying to save me. Oh, fuck. Thanks. Your wound. It's bleeding. Did you forget already? In my world, the color red doesn't exist. These must be my tears. Tears? Ever since I woke up from my coma, I think I've been waiting for this very moment. Mr. Armando. You do well to remember this, Maya. The only time a lawyer can cry is when it's all over. This time, it really is all over, isn't it? Defendant? Yes, Your Honor. Although you weren't directly involved with the murder, tampering with the body and the crime scene is a serious offense in itself. I understand, Your Honor. Mr. Armando explained that to me very carefully. I knew the risk and I willingly cooperated anyway. Very well. Before I hand down my verdict, is there anything you'd like to say? Well, there is one thing I'd like to say something. I'd like to say something to Mr. Wright. I want to apologize to you. Apologize to me? For what? For the case 6 years ago, of course. I just remembered. Weren't you poisoned by your own lover? Not exactly, but yeah, something like that. Even now, 6 years later, I can hardly believe it. She's going to do it. She's planning to kill me. It's not all that surprising. The two of you hardly knew each other. Let me guess, I spent most of my time with you and not her. What do you mean? You and my sister. You only met twice. Huh? We only met twice? The first time you met was on that fateful day. The day she poisoned Mr. Armando in the cafeteria in this very courthouse. The next time you met was 6 months later. You met her again on the day that she stole your cold medicine. Damn, I was chilling with Iris this entire time. And Doug Swallow was killed. No way, it can't be true. I mean, during our whole relationship we were... For those 6 months. The woman that you thought was Dahlia Hawthorne wasn't actually my sister. It wasn't, Dahlia? I hope one day you can forgive me, Feeny. You mean... That's right. I lied to you for 6 months. Damn. But why? Why would you do such a thing? Ever since she gave you that bottle that day. My sister was trying to get it back as soon as she possibly could. Because of the police investigation and their surveillance. She couldn't move about freely. So that's why you... My sister. From the beginning, she was prepared for the worst. Prepared for the worst. She thought that you might somehow discover the truth. That's why she was always ready to deal with you at a moment's notice. You mean she was ready to kill me, don't you? She already had so much to answer for. I didn't want any more sins on her soul. I begged her not to do it, and she agreed to give me a chance. That's why you came to me. You came to get the bottle pendant back from me in her place. I couldn't get you to give it back. I failed at something even as simple as that. 6 months passed, and I still couldn't get it back from you. Finally, my sister couldn't wait any longer. She didn't consult me about her plans for that day. It was the first time that it had ever happened. That was a bit strange, wasn't it? Up until that day, you two were partners in crime, and she would confer with you. I think she must have noticed. Noticed what? My feelings for you. If I had found out she was planning to kill you, I would have done whatever was necessary to stop her. Even if it meant her life, or mine. Iris. After spending half a year by your side, my feelings towards you, they changed. I have something to say to you too. Yes? You really are the person I always thought you were. Even after Dahlia Hawthorne was found guilty, I still believed in you. Aww. Certainly I'm not interested in you. Thank you. So, I mean, I have like 8 other girls that are on the list before you. I'm sorry, honey, but get in line. How many cups of darkness have I drank over the years? Even I don't know. I'll tell you though. Right now, this one here is the greatest cup I think I've ever had. Don't you think so, Phoenix Wright? Yeah, I think you're right. The purpose of this trial was to rule on the murder of the victim, Elise. At some point, I expect you will be tried for your role as an accomplice in this case. I understand, Your Honor. Very well. On the charge of murder, I hereby find the defendant not guilty. Court is now adjourned, Jesus. That's a sad court. So I guess it's all over. The way everything ended was justice really served. Something was served. The man who risked his life to save Maya is being sent to prison by my own hands. Of course justice was served. Damn, looking good as always. Mia. I'm proud of you, Phoenix. Your defense was truly brilliant. But I couldn't save Armando. The man who cared so deeply for you. I care more. You're wrong, Phoenix. You did save Diego. You saved him in the only way possible. You mean, with that verdict. I think one day, you'll understand too. Phoenix, I want you to remember one thing. You were as good out there today as any defense lawyer could ever hope to be. There's nothing more you can learn from me. Mia, you've accomplished something I wasn't able to. I owe you a great deal. Thank you. Mia, I'm sure we'll meet again. Someday, Phoenix. I've handled lots of cases and seen lots of things. And along this journey, I found myself asking just one question. What does it really mean to defend someone? I suppose today's case produced one possible answer. Nick. Maya. I guess it's just like my sis said. Your sister, Mia. That night when I channeled Mia to get her advice on what to do. This is what she wrote back in my notebook. Don't worry. Phoenix will save everyone in the end. Oh, Mia, I love you so much. But, come on, cut it out with that gloomy face. Can't you see? Me, sis, and I'm sure Iris too. We owe you for everything you've done for us, Nick. I want the reward coming from Mia. Let's be 100% real here. You guys thanking me, that's nice, but I just want a fucking meal with Mia. Maya. Or just a day. Just a night. How can you be so bright and chipper after all that's happened? You were brutally attacked and you even saw your mother murdered. Ouch! Oh, I hate karma. Francisca! Still softy as always, Phoenix Wright. Excellent work, Wright. Mr. Edgeworth, when did you get back? Oh, that's right. I guess no one filled her in on that. Edgeworth and Francisca have actually been helping me. Helping you? If these two hadn't been there on the first day of the trial, the defense wouldn't have gotten anywhere. Wow. But where were you, Nick? I heard he fell into a river and got a nasty cold, which forced him to sleep all day. He had laid in bed shivering with his fever, with Iris's hood pulled over his head. Oh, ouch. Talk about embarrassing, Nick. You definitely need more training. It could have been worse. Shut up. Anyway, thank you, Mr. Edgeworth. And, you too, Francisca? I don't suppose... Oh, Jesus. There's room for me, this group hug. Is there? Oh, Larry. What's with the, longer than usual face? I realized something when I was reborn. I realized that Larry was never any of use to anyone. Not even one. That's not true, right, Nick? Oh yeah, big help. What? You're asking me? Well, Nick, isn't it true? I've got a place in this world, right? Yeah, of course. I knew it. Everyone would be better off if I were gone for good. No, oh yeah. These portraits you painted, they were, really good. Isn't that right, Edgeworth? What? Me? Why are you making that face, huh, Edgy? Well, yes, indeed. I certainly can't say that it's lacking a resemblance. Do you really mean it? What about you, Francie? Did I draw you well, too? My beauty can't possibly be captured by a mere crayon. Claire. Nevertheless, I recognize the effort you put into it, and that's worth something. So you'll do it like you promised? You're going to model for my next picture? Ah, don't get carried away. Well, how about that? I guess painting portraits is the only good thing I'm good at. The painting of Pearl was pretty darn good too, if you ask me. Huh? Now that you mention it, I haven't seen her around. Where could she have gone? Normally she would have made a beeline for Maya. Oh, I'll go look for her. Be right back. Hey, Pearlie. Right. You seem to be uncharacteristically puzzled. I suspect you're wondering how Maya can be so cheerful despite all that's happened. Yeah. To be honest, I can't understand it either. Francisca. That's right, she lost her father fairly recently as well. I think I understand how she feels. Maya's a much wiser person than she appears, and I think she realizes something. Now is exactly the time when she needs to be as strong as she can. What do you mean by now is exactly the time? Maya wasn't the only one who was badly injured by this incident. In fact, there was someone that was hurt far more deeply than she did. I believe it's for that person that Maya's trying her best not to cry. Someone who was hurt more deeply than Maya. I think I'm starting to understand too. Ow! Then tell me, Phoenix, right? Who's Maya being strong for? Pearl. Because, I mean, she was basically told that she had to kill Maya, and she didn't realize that, and she almost got Maya killed. Of course, Pearl's probably feeling horrible. Pearl Faye. The poor kid, after all. The reason she worked so hard to follow the instructions was because she loved and believed in her mother, Morgan. It's for the good of the Faye clan. I'm sure she believed in every last word. She thought she was doing it for Maya. That's why she was so happy. No, it shows how truly devoted she is to Maya. It's a cruel irony that it was her exuberance that led to this tragedy. Maya Faye's mother was killed and Maya herself was put into the deepest peril imaginable. And that's exactly why Maya's putting on a brave face. She's doing it for Pearl's sake. Until she can see her smile again. Oh, hey! So this is where you all been. Wow, looks like we've got a... Ow! What was that for, sir? Sorry about that, Scruffy. My whip just seems to have a mind of its own. What's up, Detective Gumshoe? Oh, you know, this and that. Anyway, congrats on your win. Let's go out tonight, pal. Dinner's on me. As always, you scored gone down by a teeny-weeny bit, but it's alright. I made reservations at a first-class French restaurant tonight. Ah. Pretty good work, Scruffy. That whip was your reward. Detective Gumshoe. You said a first-class French restaurant. You don't mean... Très bien. Where else? Oh, fuck no. Please, God, no. I know we're doomed. Come on, let's go, everyone. Can't keep Maggie waiting, pal. Hey, you cry baby, you're invited too. Oh, forget about me. Pearl and I will be at the loser's shack eating potatoes. You know, Maya's taking an awfully long time to get her back. She's still out there looking for pearls. Oh, Maya. What's wrong? Nick, what do I do? Pearl, I can't find her anywhere. Huh? I'll bet she just went back home. That's all. I thought so too, so I called the village. But no one has heard from her. This has never happened before. As I figured, she's been badly hurt by this incident. She feels responsible for the tragedy that has befallen you, Maya. But none of this was her fault. What should I do? Detective Gumshoe? Yeah, what is it, pal? You guys go on ahead. But what about you? Maya and I we'll just join you guys once we find pearls. Nick? Don't worry about us, Detective Gumshoe. We may be a little late, but we'll definitely be there. We have a lot of celebrating to do tonight, and I wouldn't miss it for the world. Yeah, but you're the... Ah! Very well, Phoenix Wright. We'll go on ahead. Don't keep us waiting, right? We won't. But where should we look? Where could Pearl have gone? Let's go, Maya. There's only one place I can think of that pearls might have gone to. Please don't make me say where. I don't know. The scene of the crime? House-of-Kara Temple. For pearls, I bet this is a very important place. After all, it's where this whole incident started. What's this? You're all back again so soon? Sister Bikini. I thought we'd be eating mashed potatoes alone tonight. So she's here. Pearlie is here? She's in the training hall. Why don't you hurry along and go see her? Okay. Pearlie's not here. Yeah. Maya, the hanging scroll. Ah. She cleaned it. Someone cleaned it off. It's gotta be pearls. Ah! Mystic Maya. Pearlie. Why? Why'd you just leave like that? Mystic Maya. Mystic Maya! A nice big hug, it's all okay. I swore that I would never trouble the two of you ever again. Because it's all my fault that Mystic Maya's mother. That's why you came here? It's the least I could do, to pray for your happiness. You don't have to do that, Pearlie. It wasn't your fault. You didn't do anything wrong. Of course, I'm sad that my mother's gone, but how do I say this? I'm still happy. You don't have to lie just to make me feel better. No, really. It's true. The only reason I'm still here is thanks to everyone who was there for me. My sis, my mother, Mr. Armando, Nick. I get put last, next to last, and you. If even one of you weren't there, I'm sure I wouldn't still be alive right now. That's why I have to be strong. Out of the amount of times I've saved you, I get put next to last. For all the people that were there for me when I needed them. That's all I can really do. Mystic Maya. I'm impressed. You truly are the daughter of Mystic Misty. Sister Bikini. Your mother, Mystic Misty, was a strong woman indeed. I want to tell her what she said to me. I want to tell you what she said to me that night. After dishonoring the good name of Kurian, I don't have the right to face my daughter. But still, Maya is always in my thoughts. It's true, she'll always be with me until the day I die. Your spirit was with her. That's why your mother was so strong. Even at the end, I'm sure she had no regrets. She'll always be with me until the day I die. Huh. There's a rule or something all masters are to follow, isn't there? To never take the charm off until the day you die. That's the master's talisman. The thing that Misty kept by her heart and would never take off. It wasn't the container that was important, rather it was the contents. That's... a photo? Ah. Mother. It's a picture of her mom? It's only natural for living creatures to fight to protect their own lives. But what makes us human is what we fight for, is that we fight for others. But who do you fight for? How hard must you fight? That's the true measure of what a human life is worth. We defense attorneys are warriors who are constantly challenged by that question. Oh my god, that's so fucking cute! Ah! Even when the battle is over and the bonds that connect us are severed, we always return, time and time again. I fucking want... oh my god, let me protect Mia, Maya, Pearls, Mr. Armando, and Maya's mother, too. I learned that from all of them. She's so fucking adorable. Ah, fuck. Ah, she's so precious. Well, shall we get going? Everyone's waiting. Nah, it's a day to remember. A day when a lot of things were finally put to rest. I think we should celebrate what we've overcome today. But I still can't. Oh, go on, sweetie. You can come back for training anytime. Okay. Alright, I'm going to make a brand new start too. Sister Bikini, I'll be back for more training, I promise. I know, and I won't go easy on you just because you're the future master. I'll make sure to prepare reservations for 3 when you come back. I don't want to. Alright, we're going to have a great feast today, Pearly. You know why? Because training is a battle of endurance. Okay, Mystic Maya, I'll eat lots and lots of food tonight. Do you know there's one thing I don't get, and probably don't want to, but... What is it, Nick? Reservations for training is fine and all. Why for 3? Come on, what do you think? You're one of us, Nick. Next time you can train right alongside us. Nah, fuck that. Huh. Unless Mia's there, nah, fuck that. I'll be waiting for you. Sister Bikini will take special care of you. I don't want special care from Sister Bikini. Huh? It'll be great, Nick. We're going to do the special course naturally. That's a great idea after all, Mr. Nick. You'd do anything for Mystic Maya, wouldn't you? Even walk on hot coals, right? Not for her, sorry. We'll have a nice big meal before we come next time, right, Nick? Oh. You know, I was wondering if I can just say one little thing. Sure, of course you can. I love this part, I can't wait to hear it. I'm getting goosebumps too. Well then, here goes nothing. Thank you. That was a nice, peaceful ending. I'll really have to work extra hard now. Master Currian and the office manager of Right & Co. And I have to be a good big sister to Pearly and Nick too. And as long as I'm not locked up or captured or anything, something like that. Yeah, that's a lot of ifs. A lot of conditions that you actually struggle with a lot. Hey, little Pearl. So it's true, Mr. Nick is Mystic Maya's 9 shining armor. He went through with the special course and all the way to the end. Actually, I heard there's a legendary extra special ultra course here too. I think it'll surprise the 2 of them by making them a secret reservation. Please, God, no. Don't stop it. Stop it! Maggie brought me a brand new coat. As a present, pal. I feel 10 years younger. I'll never take this thing off. Yes, but somehow you just don't seem the same. I guess a dirty, shabby old overcoat is just like more detective-like, sir. Don't worry about it. In the name of love, a man will soil himself silly. Can I have Miss Desi show up, please? God, if you're out there, please. Hey, Miss Andrews, just as good. Mr. Wright, I am once again your dad. Thanks to you, the Treasures of Korean exhibit was a great success. I even got to see Miss Von Karma, who I hadn't seen for almost a year. She taught me how to use a whip, and she said that I must show you what I've learned. I'm not into that in bed. I'm not into that. Stop. No. Yes. Desi and I started a company called Damascus Consulting. We're dedicated to stopping the evil plans of all the criminals in the city. Our motto is cut it out, please. Cute, huh? Why? Well, we also sell planes to the criminals as a kind of side business. I wonder if that's okay. Sometimes I think maybe we're the worst criminals. You are. Desi's an innocent flower who did nothing wrong. She's amazing. God, why is she wasted on him? Help me. Mr. Wright, I want to thank you for exterminating Dumb Tigray. I returned the $500,000 along with the tea set. A special, thick tea the ones I mixed with my own 2 hands. I bet he's drinking it now. Win through compromise. Please never see her again. She's terrifying. Hey, Mr. Kudo. I'm just old in the way. A wrinkly, grumpy, clown-nosed waste of flesh. At least that's what I thought. But my grandkids had a birthday party for me the other day. Talk about embarrassing. At 69 years old and I cried like a baby with a dirty diaper. You have kids? As usual, we have an abundance of work to do. We're hired a new programmer to replace Glenn L. I do hope everyone will get along. His name is Adam Mata. As soon as I heard his name, I knew our brain circuits would align perfectly. My, more reporters. Since the murder, we've made so much money, I hardly know what to do. The magazines like us because I provide such a nice visual, especially in spring. I can hardly wait for Iris to come back. Please to God. I'd rather see Iris. I don't even like her. I wonder if Phoenix visits her. Oh, I mean, you should. You turned into such a respectable man, Phoenix. It was so sweet of you and everyone else to come and visit me here the other day. Of course, I was happy that you constantly had your eyes on me, but I felt kind of bad when the little one slapped you so hard you got a nosebleed. Why am I focused on her? Ow! Hello? Phoenix Wright. Actually, naming people. Hey, Miles. Love you, Mia.
Objection!
Hey, Godot.
Objection!
Francisca. This was a really fun story. Oh, God, Payne. I forgot about him. This was a really fun story, though. I really liked episode 3, or part 3. It was a lot of fun. Old bag. What's this? I'm back from a long and tiring vacation. No one's here to greet me. I guess while I was gone, my little whippersnapper buddy quit, and now I've got no one. And what kind of lonely, crazy security room is this supposed to be anyway? Well, with all the flashing lights and switches, I feel like some sort of space alien. And now what am I going to do with these 3 macadamia nuts I brought? If I bring them over to Edgy-Poo, I know exactly what you do. I really can't accept these, I'm afraid. Hard when I will ever find a gentleman who will accept me. Ridiculous. Old bag. But it was a lot of fun to get through this. I finally found something I'd love to do. Franzie's Whiplash Splash is going to turn the art world on its head. I should have realized it sooner. Self-centralized, lazy, antisocial. I'm an artist, a really good portrait artist. I'm not a loser after all. But the way those just... I like all the way the trials flowed together. It was really nice. I really liked having Godot. He's a really interesting prosecutor. The rest of the group. Dead people, and Godot, is probably on death row. That was fun. I like doing this trilogy, and I can't wait to get into the next set at some point in the future. But I've got to move on to the Zero Escape franchise and finish those sequels up because I've put that off for a really long time. It was a lot of fun going through this, and I can't wait to get to some of the newer games that have come out. Yeah, and it's just a lot of fun. I hope some of the trials are just as unique. Some of the characters will be just as interesting as they were here, and I can't wait to see how the story changes, how it comes together as it goes later down the road, and how much more complicated these trials can get, because some of these were a real struggle. But I want to thank everyone for the amount of support that the series has gotten over the last 3 games I've done, and I want to thank everyone for following it. If you like this series so far, leave a like, comment down below about what your favorite case was, and go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already for any future games, because I know a poll will be coming in the nearish future to decide what the next set of games after this one that's starting up right now. So look forward to that. Thank you guys so much, and have a great day.